we shall be free once more. Altruism, the greatest good for the greatest generation.
Hail, fella! What do you got? What do you got?
I heard you're interested in taking care of some lost travelers for a price.
And so it is. And so it is. Leave the body, take the gold.
Welcome to episode number 3 of Mysteries. Last episode we talked about some of the mysteries going on around the Galileo Observatory. In this video I would like to stray away from the normal for a bit and get into cults surrounding the Grand Theft Auto world. First, let's look at the definition of cult. A cult, according to dictionary.com, is a noun, which means a particular system of religious worships, especially with reference to the rites and ceremonies. Most people, when they think of cults, they think negatively on the word. Cults have a pretty dirty name in the real world, and there's good reason for it. One example being a person like Charles Manson. Manson is a former American cult leader who led what would become known as the Manson family. Manson's followers have been noted to committing 9 murders around July of 1969. Manson believed in what would be called helter-skelter, the term being coined from a popular Beatles song during its time. But now, turning our attentions back to the Grand Theft Auto world, Rockstar seems to hint toward the evil of these ideas. There are 3 main cults in the game: the Epsilon program, the Altruists, and last, the Children of the Mountain. The really interesting part is each character is tied to one of these cults. Franklin is tied to the Children of the Mountain, Trevor is tied to the Altruists, and Michael is tied to the Epsilon program. When it comes to the larger mystery in the game, many ask if one of these play a role in the greater truth. So let's take some time to dissect these 3 cults and learn about them. Let's start off with the baby-booming Altruists. Let's take a look at the definition of altruism: the belief or practice of a disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Wait, what? Let's look closer into this. Going to the Wikipedia page, it says, and I quote, "Altruism or selflessness is the principle of practice of concern for the welfare of others," unquote. I really recommend reading into this, as it is very interesting, but these definitions don't really seem to explain a bunch of half-dressed, human-eating, blood-drinking hippies. So let's dig deeper into the altruist cult of the GTA world. If you head over to the GTA WIKI, they describe the altruists as a religion made entirely of older men from a baby boomer generation. They believe that all other generations after them are the cause of evil within the world. They are not fans of technology, which is almost comical being they have a website in the GTA world. In the game, it is very easy implied that they are some form of cannibals and that they drink the blood of the young. Looking back at the character connections, it almost makes sense that Trevor is connected to this cult. The game does give a lot of examples where he has been noted to eat some people.
Some leftovers.
I'm fine, T.
Huh? No, I'm the host, man. You know, I don't want you to get hungry and moody, right? Then you're gonna be making the wrong decisions.
Man, I've been making wrong decisions my whole life. That's how I ended up here.
There you go. Bon appetito.
Jesus Christ, Trevor, what is that?
What's wrong with you? That's just a what? An eyelid. That's probably not even human. Unless that gas station job.
Gentlemen, some plans for your attention?
A lot of people even believe that Trevor himself is secretly a cult member. It's not hard to imagine, as I just said, he has been noted to eat people, and also when you spawn to him at times, you'll find him in nothing but his underwear, a lot just like the cult members themselves. Personally, I'm not sure what to make of that theory. I would almost agree if it wasn't for the fact that the point where Trevor himself is taken hostage. But let's get back to the main point. Going back to the website the Altruists have, this is probably one of the biggest clues Rockstar gives us in the world of the Altruist cult. But Rockstar likes to be a bit of a pain. So instead of putting the website in plain English, it's all written in the secrecy of Morse code. So let's pretend it's the mid-1800s and act like we know how to read this. But if you're not up for the world of steam locomotives and the Industrial Revolution, people have taken the time to decode it. You can find it on many websites, or you can find it on YouTube videos by searching it. For the most part, the website explains a lot what we already talked about. People under 40 will doom the earth. People whom use industrial technology are suffering from psychological issues. Primitive societies that do not use clothes or tools from the Industrial Revolution give a stable framework to society. The only reason people under 40 exist are for the altruistic man to consume and gain life from them. If you're going, what the hell, no worry, so am I. So let's step back a bit and start looking at this from more of the mystery perspective. As always, looking at the real world seems to be a good example of a lot of things going on in the Grand Theft Auto world. So looking back at the Altruist website, there is one real world example that seems to sort of match this. This is the Heaven's Gate religious group. Looking at their logo, you will take notice that it looks very similar to the Altruist logo. Though this seems to be the only real connection to the two, it is interesting to look into. In a quick explanation, Heaven's Gate was a UFO religious group in San Diego, California. Their belief system was that Earth would be wiped clean or restored. The only way to survive was to leave immediately. In some sense, you can say this matches the end of the world idea with the Ultras. Looking into the game closer, you notice the area they live. All these symbols all over the place. Writings that say, praise him. We are his children. Embrace the light. Give thanks. And of course, the see the eye. Not to mention all the glyphs of the sun and the symbol that you find on the Chilean mural. Who is he we praise? What are we giving thanks for? What eye should we see? The questions here build up very fast. The one thing I don't quite understand is the depiction of the sun. Going back to the website, one line reads, "Man is a nocturnal animal by nature." A few other lines suggest sun as being a bad thing. So why do they have the sun painted all over the place here in their camp? A lot of people seem to think they are worshipping the sun, but to me, after looking at the website, this just doesn't add up whatsoever, as it seems they think the sun is a bad thing. Though some of the paintings of the sun are red, one could assume this represents a setting sun. Some are yellow as well, which to me describes a full sun, sort of, say, at noon. One thing I have noticed, though, looking through the paintings and writings, it matches the colors used for the writings on the website. Yellow, green, purple, red. The only color missing is cyan. I can't help but wonder if there's a reason for this. I gotta admit, it's really odd looking into this place. Not much, if anything, seems to meet logic here. You have the word altruist, which is composed of the word selfless. That seems to be the last thing these guys really are. They're not really helping anyone but themselves. You have that concept of the sun I spoke about. Again, it doesn't add up. The fact that they frown upon technology is also another thing that just doesn't add up. As I said, they have a website. Also up on the hill they have a radio tower, and on one of the buildings they have satellite dishes. These are all forms of technology. Now, compared to modern man, you can say this is very little technology, but still it doesn't make a lot of sense. To be honest, it seems like everything is ass backwards when it comes to them and their beliefs. But before I get too far off track, there are some other things worth looking at in the camp. In the first episode, we talked about the jetpack man that shows up on the rock around sunset. That's not the only image that appears of the jetpack in the camp, however. To the left of the rock, there's a building. If you look at the doors, you will realize there's a faded area that looks a lot like a jetpack. This is a very well-known fact that many people mention when they look at this place, but I myself want to mention I don't only see a jetpack, I also see what looks to be an animal skull. It takes a bit of looking at first, but with some time you yourself may see it as well. Now the reason I bring up this is a mystery that lies below the camp itself. If you go down here, you will find a small opening in the mountain with a fire pit and what looks like a sheep or ram skull. I find the skull to be a very odd thing, being we never see an animal like this in the game. I can't help but wonder if this is Rockstar trying to tell us something. In this cave you can find very similar markings all over the wall, just like you do at the camp. When it comes to the cave, however, there's a lot of theories to why it is here. I honestly don't feel any of them are relevant, but that was until recently. Trippy Commentaries did a video the other day regarding this subject. To sum it up fast, it has to do with stargates and portals. It is an amazing video. I fully recommend you go and watch. I will make sure there's a link below in the description for it. As always, I'd like to put a disclaimer out there that I'm not the one who found the information for this. I'm just sharing it. Also, if you took the time to watch this video, I just want to say thank you and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll join me in the next episode as we continue talking about the cults in Grand Theft Auto. Next episode will touch upon the Epsilon cult and also the Children of the Mountain. Keep hunting. The truth is out there.
And then there's the tattoos, the hair, the weird music, the funny toys, the niche drugs, the everything.
What the fuck are we talking about?
You are a hipster.